GaySA Radio, you are family. My name is Ethan, and I'm chatting to Rian. We're taking a look behind the scenes of a very controversial interview that Rian recorded for us on the Steam Room. So we're going to be playing you that interview quite soon. But Rian, maybe you just tell us what happened. How did you meet this guy, and how did the whole process happen?
A couple of months ago, somebody contacted me on Facebook regarding a topic and wanted my phone number, and we sort of exchanged numbers, and I started talking to this person, who then asked me to add me to a WhatsApp group called Dicks Incorporated, which is like a support group for people, and they post a lot of porn pictures. And then interacting on the group, I mentioned that I was with GaySA Radio, and one of the guys said that he had a horrible incident that happened to him, and he wanted to kind of speak out, and would I be willing to listen? And I agreed, and it then came out that, like, what happened during this interview. Do you want me to kind of go ahead?
Yeah, just get, because with the interview, we cut off some of the quote-unquote grisly details from it. We're releasing that separately at some point. But to maybe just give a bit of background about what happened.
Background about it happened, I think, about 6 years ago. He was in a pub in Cape Town, and he was about to leave the pub, and somebody asked him to buy him a drink for the road, which he then agreed to, and he had a drink, and the last he could remember, his drink was spiked. He was trying to get hold of the bouncers in the club, and whether he made it to the bouncers or not, he can't remember. Next kind of memory was somebody thumping or pressing very hard on his chest, and that was however many hours or days later. Him lying on the pavement in Cape Town during broad daylight, naked, and it was somebody resuscitating him, and he was gang raped. Sharp objects were inserted into his anus multiple times, and he was given an overdose of heroin so that it looked like he OD'd as a junkie, and they just basically left him there to die.
So then you interviewed the guy. How did you feel during this interview?
I think for me, it was one of the most difficult interviews of my career as a reporter so far. Seeing the pain and the scars that it's left. And also I used to club a lot in my life. And that realization that you think you're safe, but actually not, on the one hand. And then I think on the other hand, bringing it very much home that as men, we aren't just as prone to be rape victims as women. And I think that just kind of really, really hit me hard in the gut. And then on top of this, the victim now is HIV positive, which is was absolutely out of his control. Well, like he said to me, if they had asked him willingly to do a gangbang, he probably would have. But
they weren't looking for anything.
They weren't looking for that, no.
Okay, so without further ado, here's a bit of that interview. Keep your eyes peeled on GaySA Radio social media. We'll be releasing the full interview in the coming weeks. GaySA Radio, with your family, this is the Steam Room.
Please be advised that this content contains explicit descriptions of rape and violence. Sensitive listeners are advised to use their discretion. GaySA Radio, with you are family. I'm Rian, and I'm talking to Garrick about a life-shattering event that happened to him about 6 years ago in Cape Town. What was meant to be a fun night out turned into anyone's worst nightmare. While visiting a gay club in the city, someone spiked his drink. A violent gang rape followed. Sharp objects were inserted into his rectum, and he was left naked on the streets for dead. He was also diagnosed with HIV after the incident. Coming to terms with what happened, Garrick shared some of his stories with us. Mentally and psychologically, how did you get through this? I mean, it's obviously been a very dark and difficult time. And I mean, from getting out of the hospital and hearing you're out HIV positive and going into this absolute self-destruct mode up to where you are now, how did you manage? How did you cope?
Do they know about Dicks Incorporated?
Yes.
Because that is a very, very large part of me being where I am today.
So just for people who have missed what Dicks Incorporated is, it's a WhatsApp group that a whole bunch of us belong to. And it's more of a support kind of system than anything else at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's not really a hookup group at all. It's a big gay family, and we really, really are like that. Anyway, how I coped to get through this was by telling as many people that were willing to listen about what happened.
And this is on Dicks Incorporated as well.
Yeah, on Dicks Incorporated as well. There is a level of shit that comes with that too, because by telling people this, you're automatically asking people to judge you. And I'm not fazed by that. That's another coping mechanism that I found is, as soon as I was off the drugs and I had a clear mind, I found a way to forgive myself. I forgave myself first. I will never forgive those people. I don't know who they are. But you have to forgive yourself. It's the first step actually in fixing all of this. And then speak about it. Don't keep it in, because you will destroy yourself. You'll totally destroy yourself. And that is the only way that I coped, was by telling my story to anybody that would listen. And yeah, then I got introduced to this group, Dex Incorporated, and everybody on that group just accepted and understood and loved me for who I am, not for what happened to me. And if anybody can find that in a situation like this, I think you're going to be okay.
You mentioned that people judge scenarios like this. Why is it a natural human thing? Why do you think, and how did you handle that?
From people very close to me and people that are not close to me, I've had many people say, but this is on you. You went to the gay club. And in a way, yes, yeah, that is. It's that kind of judgment. Why did you destroy yourself with drugs like this? That kind of judgment. I think what people don't understand, they judge on. And we're all like that. Everyone, I'm sorry, I'm like that. Somebody tells me a story and I don't know so much about it, I'm going to think, you know. So, anyway, this group of people really, and my family, I've got a very supportive family. I've actually had a very supportive family through all of this. I mean, from coming out of the closet, I was very lucky like that. So, I wish everybody had the family that I had. Not just in this situation, in all situations. That helped me cope.
I think rape in general is a very difficult thing to cope with for anybody. Do you think it's more difficult for men if you as a male were kind of got raped? Do you think it's more difficult for a man to deal with that?
Absolutely. Across the board, across all sexualities, I think it's very difficult, because it's within us to feel that we are men and we can defend ourselves, and rape doesn't happen to men. I'm saying this in air quotes. Men don't get raped. And yeah, it's very difficult to deal with, because you feel that your masculinity was taken away from you, your defenses were taken away from you, and society dictates that we can't speak, we can't say that this has happened to us. And I think only recently has rape been classed as a criminal offense towards a man. Before that, it was indecent assault. So we were also shut up about it, basically. So yeah, it's very difficult to deal with.
If you could say anything to the people who did that, what would you say to them?
It's probably the wrong time to ask me that, but I would say, look what you did. Look what you did. And you didn't need to do that. I would like to say to them, I forgive you, but I won't be able to get to that point. And I would like to say, please don't do it to anybody else.
If you're going to give advice to anybody that gets in a similar situation?
Across the board, I would say at the very beginning, when you realize something's happening to you, find somebody and cling on to that person, somebody that you can just make sure that you're going to be okay. Getting through it, talk about it. Go to counseling, go to therapy, but talk about it. Get it off your chest, off your shoulders. And if you develop a relationship with somebody you can talk to, you can also speak to them about wanting to self-destruct when that feeling comes, because that feeling will come. And they can get you away from that. And don't feel that this was on you. That is the biggest advice that I can give you. This is not your fault. It's not your fault. Somebody else exercised power over you. You didn't ask for it. It's my advice.
You're listening to The Steam Room on GaySA Radio, where you are family. My name is Max, and we're looking at some of the best moments from The Steam Room's Season 1 so far. Dani Haman owns Camp David, a sex club in Pretoria, and quite a popular one, I might add. We spoke to him about the world of sex clubs and his experience in the industry. GaySA Radio, where you are family. So the first question is, why do you think men have a need to go to a sex club?
I found that it's not the need of going to sex clubs. It's actually a situation that was created due to the situation in this country. People used to go to open places such as parks and public toilets and things, which became very dangerous. The police had a problem, especially at Mackey Street and at the art gallery, at that areas where you had a lot of gay bashing and that kind of thing. And then, of course, the discrimination against gays, and people used to do things in restaurant toilets and so forth and so forth. So there was a need of going to places. You've also got the situation where you've got married men and they can't take, someone back home and that kind of thing. They need to be sort of underground and they don't want to go to a public toilet or, that kind of thing. And hotels are expensive, to rent a room at a hotel for a quickie, so-called. That became a problem. So there was a real need for a legitimate, by the way, situation or place venue where they can go and do what they want to do, enjoy themselves and go. Also, there's the thing of, we've got high-profile people, celebrities, that kind of thing. They can't go to toilets and do things in public places and so forth. So they needed a private place where they can feel secure and anonymous. And that is actually where the need originated for this kind of club.
So it's then men who want to have sex with other men who don't necessarily have a venue to go to, that would need somewhere to go, that creates the need for such a place. That's what
yes, there's a lot of people that prefer actually to go such a place, because nowadays you take somebody home, and I'm not saying everyone is doing that, but the next morning you wake up and your jewelry is gone, your car is gone, that kind of thing. So people need to go to a place where it's safe.
So what sort of men would visit a sex club? Because obviously not all gay men would go, probably. It would be a certain kind of person who would go to such a venue.
We've got men all over the spectrum, married guys, bisexual guys mainly, bisexual and gay guys. A lot of them are married, and we've got them from young to old. In the early days, it was very seldom that young boys came there because they felt a bit scary and, they were not sure about the situation. It was not as open as it is today. They were still in the closet, and they were also, taught that being gay and doing this kind of thing, having sex with another man, is wrong. I think the whole perspective, the whole outlook on being gay and gay life has changed a lot, especially the last few years.
So talk us through now without giving any secrets away about who's whom and your celebrities, but what sort of thing happens in a sex club? What sort of sex acts? Is it just wanking, or is there all sorts?
No, there's all sorts. You have all sorts of kinky type of sex, if you can call it by name.
Fisting, yes.
Rimming, all sorts of sex. People has got the most strange ways of doing sex. I've got one guy, he was asking me all the time, he likes to smell men's feet and socks, that kind of thing. That's to him, that is kinky. And then you've got the guys, the SMM guys, want to whip each other. So you've got all sorts of types and methods and sorts of things that people like, fantasies they want to do, and we provide for all of it.
Okay. So, as a first-timer, it's probably very scary to go to such a place.
That is the type of question I get every day when people ask me. They feel scary, they feel embarrassed, they feel, what is in Afrikaans, skaam.
Oh, yeah, they're shy.
They're shy. shy. Then they shy about their body, say, but I'm fat, and so forth. But I always say to people, if you're shy or scary or whatever, drink a glass of wine or two. The first time it took 6 bottles of grassa before I put my feet in such a place, But within 2 minutes, you feel comfortable because everybody is equal there. That is what's so lovely about Camp David, is that everybody is naked and everybody is equal. There's no one, this guy hasn't got Gucci on and this guy has got jeans on, kind of thing. Everyone is equal. You feel like everyone is equal. There's no.
Although we start judging people then on other things that we would not normally see.
Yes.
Is that not true?
No, that's the other thing. At least you can see what you can get. I always say it's like a supermarket. You can pick, but you don't have to pay.
So, Dani, sex between men can be very messy. And if we're talking kink and all these sort of things, it can become quite a messy affair. How does one keep the club clean and healthy and within, safe limits?
Well, I've got excellent cleaners there while we're open. They walk around. In the beginning, it was a bit irritating, especially when they go in the darkroom areas. But they've got these little red lights, which our pilots use or used to use in the olden days when the instrument lights went off. You put up this little light on your head. So they walk around with that. And people also in the beginning, they was a bit disturbed, especially when you're busy with someone. But they're very well trained. When they see somebody is busy, doing something, they turn around, they go back a bit later. But they keep it clean and they spray disinfectant the whole time. And then, of course, every single morning, I've got a whole cleaning group that comes in and they clean that place. They overturn the mattresses, they spray disinfectant, everything. They sort of sterilize the entire premises.
What are some of the health risks that are associated with going to a sex club, especially on a regular basis, and maybe you're barebacking and those sort of things?
Well, obviously, HIV, STDs, that is actually the only risk that you can find it. But nowadays, a few years ago when HIV was discovered, the clubs worldwide, a lot of clubs closed down because of the HIV. But with the retrovirals we have nowadays, the medicine we have nowadays, I find that people is not that worried anymore about barebacking, that kind of thing. Especially with the new programs, we've got the PrEP programs and that kind of thing. It doesn't really bother them.
So you're mentioning the PrEP. You obviously work very closely with Out Wellbeing in Pretoria, who does PrEP and health for men and specifically men who have sex with men. How does that program work?
Yes. Look, what they give them, there's a few years ago, there was a medicine that came onto the market called Truvada. I think awarded about 5-6 years ago as the medicine of the century because it seals the virus. The virus could not mutate. But the new medicine seals the white blood cells as well. But besides that, the medicine that we have nowadays haven't got the side effects that the medicine used to have a few years ago. So that makes it quite safe. And then, of course, as far as 10 years ago, if you drank PrEP, then within 72 hours, although you HIV, it still cannot be detected because the virus is sealed. So in the beginning, what we did was we had a big campaign going about the use of condoms, and the condoms were supplied by Out and the government. And we tried to promote the use of condoms, But we found that as the PrEP medicine advanced and became more sophisticated and more safer to use, less side effects, in fact, in some cases, no side effects at all, people started using condoms, as a cock ring instead of, for protection. And that is why the focus turned onto the using of PrEP medicine. But the problem is, you have to be tested. You have to know what your status is. And then this program that we started is they test you and then you get the medicine for free for 6 months. Then you do another test and then you get medicine for the next 6 months. Actually, you get it. The program we've got going now is you get your medicine for free forever. And also when they test you, it depends on whether you're already positive or you're still negative. Then they adjust the medicine according to your medical analysis, whatever they call it.
So you've got this program now where people who test it out and get their PrEP there then get free entry into Camp David.
That's also in order to encourage people to do a test. We arrange with them that when they have a test, get a free entry to Camp David every time they do a test.
Fantastic. Donnie here from Camp David. Speaking